What's good, YouTube? It's Rico here, and it's been about 2 months since I did a Yu-Gi-Oh video or like a deck profile. Um, the new ban list that we got back in like mid-October that like banned Mermaid and everything, kind of shook things up in way more ways than I was expecting, and for a lot of the earlier part of this format, I've actually been kind of lost as to what I wanted to play because a lot of my like crazy combo ideas really hinged on Nightmare Mermaid. I began to realize, and like obviously that card was very broken and should not have been legal, and I'd been vouching for it to be banned like since way back in like Goki format. But so like at the beginning of the format, I was having a lot of trouble figuring out what I wanted to play. The first thing I tried playing was Lunalight Orcust, and I really just did not like it. I felt like it was super fragile. Like you relied on one specific two card combo, which was, Chick Tiger or, Chick Perfume. And like, yeah, it was really good if it walked unopposed, but even if you like Azathoth, if your opponent has like impermanence or whatever, or if they can like hand trap you before you get to Azathoth, which like you do open up a lot of opportunities. They're just a little awkward. Like I felt like it was a fragile enough deck that like if you got stopped in the right ways, you weren't gonna make anything worthwhile. And the deck basically had no semblance of a grind game. So in that sense, I felt like it also got suffered a lot from losing Mermaid, and like I felt like it was too easy to choke. And like the one time I took it to like a case tournament, I flopped pretty badly with it. So I kind of wrote that off really quickly. I didn't like Pure Orcust. I still don't like Pure Orcust. I cannot get behind a deck whose strategy is normal summon a monster, and if its effect gets negated, you pass. Like that just does not sit well with me. Um, so like I also tried like the combo like Danger Thunder stuff. I liked it more than Luna Light Orcus, but I was kind of, and like it does end on like crazy boards, but I kind of hit a similar problem where if it gets negated in the right spot or if it like just doesn't open strong enough, it just I felt like it fell apart. So I was actually really close to just giving up and playing like Salamangreat, which when I'm getting ready to play Salamangreat, this format is absurdly fair. But about a week or two ago, I saw a video by I think it was Top Tier Yu-Gi-Oh on like Burning Abyss Orcus combos and like a deck list. And I this intrigued me because I played Burning Abyss Orcus at the tail end of the last format. Granted, the Burning Abyss engine was really small. I just played one of every Malbranche, and I played like Dante and Cherubini, and then the rest of it was like Mermaid combo set. This really intrigued me. I watched the entire video. I watched the entire like deck profile. I got like the basic idea how to work it. I did some ins and outs, like practice combos, and I ended up really liking this. It felt like it was all of the best parts of pure Orcus, like the constant grind game, the ability to like disrupt your opponent and play on their turn. All of that was there, but you were ending on stronger boards. You didn't feel like your ceiling was low because you weren't like bogging your deck down with hand traps. You were putting in Burning Abyss cards, which are like almost always live. So I ended up really liking this deck. And I decided that it was what I wanted to play. And I tweaked some things. I took it to Yu-Gi-Oh! Day to Day, which was basically a glorified locals. Regionals have been really sparse in like the Maryland, Virginia area, which is where I am. Like we have basically no regionals for this entire format, and like my locals closed down uh, 2 months ago or something, and like so it's been hard for me to play Yu-Gi-Oh, but like so this was about the best I could do. Because otherwise I would have waited until I did better at like a better event. But this is actually about as good of an event as we're gonna get. But yeah, it was really nice. I think the one game that I like struggled. The games where I struggle, the ones where I get like Dweller or like Lancia or whatever, and like you can't win those games usually anyway. But otherwise, the deck does exactly what I want it to do, and it's crazy. You can either end on like standard baseline Orcus plays, or you can end on like Appaloosa, Beatrice, and then like Masquerena and just like Dingirsu and Grave, and it's crazy. I love this deck. It's really fun. The Burning Abyss engine is just like I already really liked Burning Abyss, but like because of Cherubini, like this whole package is slowly becoming one of my favorite in the entire game. I love it. Yeah. So yeah, let's get into it. There's no Ib just because like without Mermaid, I couldn't really justify making Ib work with Orcus, and like I almost played the combo Thunder deck because it does play Ib, and I just love that card, but I just couldn't get over the other problems I had with it. But yeah. So yeah, for Burning Abyss, I play a lot of Burning Abyss monsters. I play 17 total. So I play three Skarm, three Farfa, two Libic, two Alec, two Barbar, two Calcab, and then one of Graf, Seer because they're limited obviously, and then one Cagna. So like seeing two or more Burning Abyss is basically how all your plays start. So you want to like maximize the possibility of seeing them, and then like even opening like three or four is not bad. In fact, it's pretty good. Um, and I was trying other things, like Gallus the Star Beast or like other like level three extenders or just other extenders in general, and I found that in a lot of cases they were just as good, if not better, if they were just more Burning Abyss names. So I just like ended up upping all of these to two because I was like already playing two Libic and the threes of this, but like these were all one ofs, and then like I realized that Gallus was just a Burning Abyss that wasn't the name. So by just playing these, it less conflicting with like the other Burning Abyss because they need other BA cards to work, like to start your plays. So by just playing more BAs, you maximize your chances of seeing them. And like usually, like you're not gonna brick on BAs because if you have like four BAs in your name, two of them are gonna make Cherubini, and then like the other ones just aren't gonna die. So yeah, it was really nice. I played Cagna just because it's another name. You can play Dragig or Rubik. I didn't really have room for them, and I didn't really want to try and justify fitting them. Um, that would have probably had resulted me in like cutting Nessie, which like Nessie is awkward, but it's still a good card. And Cagna has the most attack out of them, so I thought it was just fine as a one of. Also, he's rare, so he matches with the rest of the rare BAs, and I'm weird like that. But yeah, 17 Burning Abyss was definitely really good. I often cited out some of like the excessive ones, like I'd cite out one of each of these, like Calcab and Barbar. And like it's still fine. Like you could even start out like Skarm and Farfan. That's like 5 BAs you side out, and you still have 12, which is like a pretty high number. So yeah, I definitely really liked this. This was really good. And then like Skarm and Farfa are just like Farfa you want to keep in the deck for Beatrice, and then Skarm is just the best one to mill off of Dante. And unlike my like Burning Abyss deck from last format, this is actually like it has a pretty heavy Burning Abyss focus. So like BA effects resolving is really nice. And then Honorary BA Tour Guide. This card is just really good when she walks. No Rhino Warrior, and that's because like I didn't want to bog the deck down on normal summons, which I'll get to later. But like one thing is that you do actually normal summon Harp a lot in this deck because a lot of the crazier combos do use Harp. And like I could link the video like that has a lot of the combos that top tier Yu-Gi-Oh made for this. It's like a 1 hour video or something, but like I couldn't really do it justice just by explaining it here. But there's like so many different lines you can do with like Orcust cards and shit. One thing I did do different from their deck though is that I played a much larger Orcust package. They only played 3 Harp, 1 Symbol, and 1 Brass Bombard. I played the full tilt Orcust package roll, most of it. I played 3 Harp, 3 Nightmare, and then Symbol, Wand, and Gizmek. This is obvious. This is obvious. This is obvious. I don't like multiples of Symbol. Card's not good to draw, really. It's level 3, which is cool, I guess, but I honestly have never thought that was enough reason to justify playing multiple copies. And if you draw it, like, you just get it out of your hand with Barricade Board. 3 Nightmare and 3 Harp, because you want to see one of these to start your combos. So that's why I think 3 Nightmare is still important, just because as long as you see either of these and like all the Burning Abyss cards, you could probably play the game. Nightmare is the worst one because you can't normal summon it effectively, but it's still important enough that I think it's a 3 of. And the reason I didn't play Rhino Warrior is because I played 3 Mathematician. So originally in the top tier Yu-Gi-Oh version of this, they played Predaplant Orpheus Scorpio. And I really liked it because there's like crazy lines where you can like Scorpio, ditch a Harp, summon a Cobra, grab instant fusion, do your full combo, make Winda, end on like Winda, Dingirsu, Appaloosa, and your opponent just loses there. Um, and sometimes there's like Beatrice on it also. What I didn't like the more I tested is that its ceiling is absurdly high because Scorpio and Orc and like Harp or like Nightmare is like you're just gonna win that game. But if you draw Scorpio without Harp or Nightmare, it's like okay. Because the Orcust cards are really the thing that make this deck function. Like the Burning Abyss cards are a solid like supplementary engine, but they're not going to do a lot on their own in 2019. Like that's just a fact of the matter is that the BA ceiling by itself is really just not that good anymore. And that was the problem I had with Scorpio is that like at best you can do if you had Scorpio and then you didn't have like the Orca stuff is you can end on like Cherubini, Dante, Winda, and then Cherubini's going to protect the Winda, and you know that's kind of good. Like it's ignorant, but if your opponent outs that, you really don't have anything after that. And I'd rather just play cards that get me to the rest of my deck, and that's why I subbed him out for Mathematician because you know he dumps Harp, and then he's level 3, so you can make Cherubini with him. Like you can, if you draw him in a BA, you can summon him, dump Libic, summon the BA from your hand, and that works too. And I did that a couple of times when I drew particularly like average. But you really just like getting him being like 3 more copies of Harp is really insane and really useful. And then you can use him and Seer to make Dante and Mill. It's just crazy. I'm really glad I played this over Scorpio. It definitely came up a lot today. When we get the special edition for Chaos Impact, I'll probably switch this out for Scrap Recycler because Scrap Wyvern is just nuts. Like that card's insane. You can do so many things with that card. But yeah, definitely glad I played these. And the other reason like this is better than Rhino is like again, the BAs don't really do anything by themselves, and generally like the only one you really want to mill is Graph. The rest of them you'd rather draw or just have them as like utility mills. And like Mathematician can do a utility mill like in the same way that Phoenix Rhino can. But like the only thing that's really gonna hurt when you get like the BA side of the deck is if Graph gets ashed, and Phoenix Rhino doesn't do anything about that. So yeah, and like Top Tier Yu-Gi-Oh goes into that a lot in depth about like Rhino, and I really agreed with that. I thought these were better normal summons. Harp was good. As for like, I want to talk about Brass Bombard because I do really like that card. Just because like it helps solve the problem of when you have like too many Orcus in your hands. Like if you have like Math and Harp, you can like Math dump the Brass summons Harp, and then you can do Orcus plays from there. The reason I cut it is just like it kind of sucks to draw, and I realized that in a lot of those situations where I have something like that, I could also just get the Orcus out of my hand with Barricade board blocker. Which the OCG runs Brass at 3, partly because like they don't have Barricade board, so they can't do that, and also because they have Needle Fiber or whatever the fuck it's called now. I think it's like Halka Fibrex or something, which is like actually closer to its actual Japanese name, but I'm just gonna call it Fiber. That's like way easier to remember. So like they have Fiber, which makes Brass a lot better because it's a tuner, and then they have then they don't have Barricade Borg, so they like kind of need those ways to get Orcus out of their hands. But because we have Barricade Borg, like that's not even an issue really. So I ended up cutting Brass because a lot of times it just didn't feel necessary, and I didn't really miss it at all today. And then the last monsters are 2 Nessie, 2 Jackalope, 2 Tsuchinoko, Tried and True Danger Engine. I don't really think any more than these are needed. I really don't like Mothman. The only reason I played it in like Lunalight and like the Danger combo Thunders because I think they need the Dangers more than this deck does. This deck like really like these are like the really important ones, and then Nessie's just kind of nice sometimes. So yeah, and that's all the monsters. It's 36 monsters. And then I just played for spells and traps. I played Foolish, Upstart, Babel, and Crescendo. Like that's all you really need. This is definitely a very monster heavy deck, as BA always is. And like you can't play Second's Light just because all of these are like very important. Well, these are engine pieces, and then these are just good cards. So yeah, I considered playing Into the Void just because I really liked how Jesse Cotton did that in Lunalight Orcus. The problem though is that like this is not an all-in combo deck. I think it's a combo deck, but it's not an all-in combo deck. A lot of times you end with cards in your hand. Like you can Scarm End Phase Search Tour Guide after you resolve Into the Void because it's like the same as Card on Demise. But there are a lot of times where like you'll not make Beatrice because you'll use the Dante to make Orcust plays because you didn't have enough bodies otherwise. And in those situations, you're going to leave Seer in your hand, so you don't want to ditch Seer for Into the Void at the end of the turn. So I just decided that Into the Void conflicted too much for me to comfortably play it. If this was a deck where I was consistently ending with 0 cards in my hand, then yeah, I'd play Into the Void. But this is definitely a deck where I keep cards in my hand, and also like it conflicts with IP Masquerena because you need a card in hand for her when she makes Unicorn. So yeah, extra deck for BA cards. We just play one of each of Cherubini, Beatrice, Dante. This is all you need. Really, like Cherubini is how you start 99% of your plays. Beatrice is just a nice flex if you like revive, because you're gonna like almost always revive Dante with Seer. And like Beatrice is just a nice flex. If you have enough bodies where you don't have to use the Dante material, then you can make Beatrice before you do any Orcust plays. And she's just another disruption. She can send Farfa, she can send Alex, she can like dump for Skarm if your opponent doesn't do anything. There have been a couple plays where like I just don't see the Orcust side of things, and then Beatrice on my opponent's turn will just dump Harp. That's not really a good play, but it is a play that exists. So, yeah. And then like only one Dante just because you loop it with Seer, and there's like no room in the extra deck. But like you never really need more than one, so yeah, definitely was fine. I play the full Orcust package, so I play 3 Galatea, 1 Longirsu, and 2 Dingirsu. So actually, right before the tournament at Yu-Gi-Oh today, I was actually only doing 2-1-1. And I was playing Winda because I was playing Instant Fusion with the Predator cards, and then I played Curious because like the thought process was that with enough like dark extenders that weren't BA cards, and Cherubini's a fairy, so like Cherubini BA and another like just any dark extender like a danger would let you make Curious if you didn't see any Orcust cards. But I ended up cutting Window because I ended up cutting the Predum Plant stuff, and then I realized that in streamlining the deck from how top tier Yu-Gi-Oh built it, I cut out a lot of like the extenders that I felt excessive because they had like Levianeer and then like the Predator Plants were plants. Like really the only things that were going to allow me to make Curious were the dangers, but the dangers also let me make Dante, which puts me further away from Curious. So it was kind of this situation where I was like, do I choose between Curious or Dante? And I'd rather just make Dante because he's more advantage overall. And then when I added math, it's like 9 ways to get to an Orcust play plus the Foolish Burial, so it's actually 10 ways. So really, you're not often starved for Orcust cards. And then like I felt like the situation where I was like, okay, I'm gonna make like Beatrice Appaloosa pass and then dump Harp. We're probably gonna be pretty uncommon, and I don't think that actually happened at all today, except for like maybe one game. So like I cut those, and as a result, I was able to put the full package in. And this was actually pretty important for a couple games where I actually blew through the entire package in like grinder games, because this is definitely like this deck makes boards sometimes where your opponent's just not going to beat through it because they're going to like pop 3 of their cards or like spin away 3 of their cards. But at the same time, it is an Orcust deck, and it is very much designed to grind, and it does. And that's always been my favorite thing about Orcust, especially like Orcust variants like this, is that yeah, you have the potential to just completely blow out your opponent, but if you don't and you have a game to play, you can play the game, and usually you can out-resource your opponent. So yeah, definitely glad to play the full Orcust package, and then the rest is just Appaloosa. You make this with Cherubini, Dante, and any other monster, and then Seer revives Dante, and then you can do Orcust stuff from there. And then she protects you. She threatens Nibiru because like they can drop Nibiru before her, but if they do that, then you're still gonna be able to play the game, which is my entire thought process with everything involving Appaloosa. And then like obviously she's just really strong negation. Burl Sword game, Unicorn and Phoenix. These are both just solid utility, and Unicorn is made off of Masquerena. This card like changed Orcust so much. Like this card alone made Babel so much better than Crescendo. Because before the game plan was just end on Dingirsu Crescendo and another negate and hope your opponent doesn't have super poly. But now it's just like, well, now I just end on like a couple things on the board that can't get super poly, and then I have like 3 different disruptions by this card alone. And I don't know, Masquerena is insane. Like I love that card. And then Barricade Board. This is just to get shit out of your hand. If I have like Cherubini, Dante, and something else, and I have an Orcust I have to get out of my hand, I'll just make this before I make Appaloosa, because I feel like at that point, if they had Nibiru, they were going to drop it. And then even if they don't, then I'm still like playing the game. So, yep, and that's the extra deck. I don't know how I'd fit Scrap Wyvern. obvious cutout would probably be one of the Galateas, just because Barricade Board Blocker is also just a generic dark, but I don't know. I'll have to think about it, but that's the only thing I can possibly think of cutting from this. Side deck is really, really straightforward. Lancia for, Orcust and Combo Thunder. Nibiru, mostly for Salamangreat and random, like, spammy decks like Hero. Um, like, it's definitely not good in the main right now because of how prevalent stuff like Orcust and, like, things that don't care about Nibiru are, but like they're against the select decks where they do care about Nibiru. This card's just savage, so like I would definitely still side this. Um, and like it can conflict with BA stuff, but I feel like the trade-off is still more important because you're just wiping out your opponent's board, or like you're just completely nullifying your opponent's board, and then you can, like, if you really need to, you can wait for them to put more than 3,000 or more damage on board, and then drop Nibiru and summon the token in attack position and just ram Nibiru into it, which is not a fantastic play, but it's a play you can do to play around the xenophobia of the BA cards. Mind Control, that card's just wild. I didn't actually use it today, but it's just insane. Twin Twisters, I don't actually think... I sided this in once, but didn't see it, and then Evenly Matched. I didn't side this, but this was for Back Row and Combo Thunder, because unless things have changed with Combo Thunder, they don't play away to stop Evenly Matched. So, yeah. That was a side deck. Yeah, that was the entire deck. The Yu-Gi-Oh! Day was not really that impressive. It really wasn't crazy on meta. I think the most meta thing there was a couple people playing Salamangreat. I think I was one of the two people playing Orcust, and the other one was a friend of mine who was just playing like a zombie Orcust variant, but there was like no pure Orcust there. I played against Hero round 1, and then I played against Sky Striker Invoked round 2, and I got hit by... Game 1, I got hit by Ghost Ogre because he was maining it. I don't know why. And like Ghost Ogre actually hits Charity. So I got hit by Ghost Ogre, and then I got hit by Call by the Grave, and then I still had to deal with Makaba, so I just lost that. And then game 2 I bricked. I opened like 4 Orcus and 1 Burning Abyss. That was the only round I lost. And then round 3, I played against Dragon Maid Buster Blader, which was like potentially scary, but he just didn't have all the pieces together, I guess. And then round 4 was against my friend who was playing the Zombie Orcs thing, and game 1 was actually like 25 minutes, but I won it out because of the larger Orcus package. Like, the game swung in my favor when I dropped the second Dingir Zone. I actually summoned everything in my extra deck that game except for Boral Sword. And then, like, game 2 just started so late. By the time he ended his turn and I was in the middle of mine, we just ran out of time. And then we were both at 8,000, but I won game 1, so I won the match. But yeah, like, the only times I've struggled is, when I'm facing down, like, Dweller, or just, like, my opponent has so many negates that nobody could have possibly fathomed winning through that. It's really, really cool. I definitely want to explore it some more, especially as this format progresses and as things move in the future. I doubt it'll... Like, I don't want to look far enough in the future for, like, when we have Fiber, because, like, that's so many months away, and the format's probably going to be very different by then. But... like, if this somehow survives, and that, like, Fiber will make Rubik really good because he's a tuner. But yeah, it's a really cool deck. Definitely has a lot of potential going into the special edition with Scrap Wyvern and Scrap Recycler, because that just makes so many crazy plays. But yeah, yeah, we'll see where it goes from there. But yeah, thanks for watching, YouTube, and I'll see you next time.